Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another beautiful day of Lenoir-Rhyne softball here on the campus of Lenoir-Rhyne University. I'm Joe Smith, and along with Malik Willis, we'll bring you the game today between the doubleheader between the Lenoir-Rhyne Bears and the nationally ranked Anderson Spartans. Lenoir-Rhyne comes in today. Trojans, Spartans. They would get upset with each other, I think. Lenoir-Rhyne comes in today with a record of 22-7, 7-1 in the South Atlantic Conference. That leads the conference. Anderson close behind, 20-4, 3-1 on the season. So Anderson and Carson Newman, both 3-1, are in second place behind Lenoir-Rhyne at 7-1. Of course, we've played more games, and so we'll see what happens here today. As I mentioned, Anderson is ranked coming in. They had won 16 in a row after an opening day loss, have gone 4-3 since. Bears, of course, had their own winning streak at one point after starting 2-5, won 11 in a row, lost a game, and have been 9-2 since then. Bears split a doubleheader with Queens on Tuesday, losing game 1 7-4 and winning game 2 9-4. Most recent loss for Anderson. They lost to UVA. They split a doubleheader with Emmanuel back earlier this week. Only common opponents, Lemoyne University out of New York, and both Anderson and Lenoir-Rhyne swept Lemoyne. And there's the first pitch from Lauren Rakes as we get started today. Pretty windy today, so we're going to be hanging on to equipment and stuff like that and try to keep you up to date with what's going on. There's pitch 2 and strike 1 for Lauren Rakes. Lauren comes in, as you know, with outstanding records so far. 11-1 on the year, 94 innings pitched, 156 strikeouts, a 1.55 ERA. And she'll be matched up against Harley Duncan, who is 8-1 with a 2.78 ERA. Jessica Neto, the starting second baseman for Anderson, is the leadoff hitter. And she and Kaysen Boatner, who is batting third, are quite the power duo. Between the two of them, 22 home runs already this year. And with the wind blowing in all different directions, there's going to be an occasion where hitters get some benefit from the wind and probably an occasion where the wind works against them because the flags are whipping up out in left center field. 2-2 the count now. Here's the pitch from Lauren, and that is a little high. Count goes full to Jessica Neto, batting .438 on the season. Jessica with 10 home runs and 25 runs batted in. And there's a strike 3 for Lauren Rakes, and she gets Neto to lead off the game. Maddie Carpenter will step in for Anderson. Maddie, a freshman out of Hickory, North Carolina, and South Caldwell High School. It's a little homecoming trip for Maddie. And there's a deep fly ball to right center, and that's gone. And I think that's a pretty decent example of what the wind might do today. We may see a pretty high-scoring game because it looked like a routine fly ball, and all of a sudden it's out in the trees in right center. And quickly, Anderson has taken a 1-0 lead. Rakes now steps in to face Kaysen Boatner. Boatner, the other part of that power duo for Anderson. She got Jessica Neto on strikes. Boatner hitting .417, 12 home runs, 35 runs batted in. So as I mentioned, between the two of them, 22 doubles, 22 home runs, and 60 RBIs. So they are formidable. But it's Maddie Carpenter from South Caldwell High School who comes back home and gets Anderson on the board first. Kylie Linhart behind the plate. Kylie earlier this week at Queens became the all-time home run leader here at Lenoir-Rhyne. Hit her 47th, surpassed Sarah Atkins Cook, who was a previous record holder at 46. So congratulations to Kylie, and maybe she can hit a couple today, and the wind will help her out too. I mean, it is really blowing, folks. pine trees are bending over out in the outfield. Horn steps in. She's heading to count 1-2 against Boatner, and that pitch high is count 2-2. 1-0 here early. First game of our doubleheader, so we're just getting started top of the first. And thanks for joining us. And there's a shot, line shot to center, and wow, did that ball take a curve. That's a pretty good outfielder in there in Savannah Moorfield, and she's looking at Kendall Osborne in left and Cassidy Wall in right and going, wow. I mean, I'm sitting pretty close to behind home plate and looking at dead center, and it was just like one of my tee shots in golf. Slice, slice, slice. So 2 away now. And Hannah Whitaker in. Hannah starting at shortstop today for Anderson. She's a sophomore out of Liberty, South Carolina. And there's a pop-up. Jennings might have a chance if the wind keeps it, and she does. So after the solo home run by South Cole High School's Maddie Carpenter, we get the last 2, and Bears will come to bat here in the bottom of the first. Anderson leads 1-0. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing.
I'm Rob with Center Street Eats. We're located at 2250 North Center Street in Viewmont. We offer fast dine-in and carry-out service. Usually your prepared meals at lunch from 11 to 3 are ready within 5 minutes. Center Street Eats also offers prepared meals and snacks, protein bars, smoothies, and so much more. We can accommodate most allergy restrictions and can adjust our weekly menu to comply with the most current trending diets like keto and paleo. Center Street Eats has helped fuel the sports programs at Lenoir-Rhyne for over 10 years now. We work with every program on campus, and we look forward to working with them again.
Welcome back, everyone. Bottom of the first here in game 1 of our doubleheader, Lenoir-Rhyne against Anderson. And worst thing you can do when you go on the air is get the guy that does all the work's name wrong. So, Malik, I apologize. I think I had the NFL draft in my mind. I said Malik Willis. Malik Ellis is doing all the hard work today for me, so I can talk. And Savannah Moorfield steps in to face Harley Duncan, the Anderson pitcher. Duncan is 8-1 on the year, 2.78 ERA, and there's ball 2. If you saw the top of the first, you'll realize what I was talking about, because you can probably see the flags if you're just joining us. Savannah Moorfield, who's at the plate, caught a tee shot slice that looked a lot like a Joe Smith shot. So I think the wind is going to be a factor here potentially all day. Looked like it might have been on that home run by Maddie Carpenter there in the top of the first. The Bears will see if they can get that run back and add some here. And that's ball 4. Nope, strike 1. Wow, okay. So 3-1 to count now to Moorfield. Sometimes I jump the gun. The plate umpires, a lot of times there's a delay in their call. And I missed that one. There's ball 4, and Savannah Moorfield is on with a leadoff walk. Of course, Savannah played an awful lot of softball for us. Great in center field, great base runner. Batting .383 on the year, and has done a good job for us. Hannah Jennings steps in. Hannah batting .312 on the year. She's got a couple of home runs, 16 RBIs. Hannah, to start the year, was batting 5th. She moved into the 2-hole after Caitlin Rackard was injured a handful of games ago, and Hannah's done very well in that spot, back-to-back left-handers. And here's the pitch from Duncan. Ball one. Thought we might see, for Anderson, Lakin Maxwell, who appears statistically to be their ace, and Maxwell and the Rakes battle would have been pretty good. There's a bunt by Jennings, and they get her at first, but advance Savannah Moorfield. So, Moorfield is second on the fielder's choice. And Hannah Jennings out at first. Cassie Wall steps in. Cassie leading us in hitting so far this year, 398, 12 doubles, 4 home runs, and our RBI leader with 29. So she can strike the ball too. I'm not sure I've ever seen the flagpoles move this much in a game. 1-0 the count. Duncan facing Cassidy Wall. Cassidy in right field for the Bears today, where she typically has been, and also batting third. She's settled into that spot nicely. The freshman from freshman from Davidson, North Carolina. Pardon me. A little tickle in my throat. 1-2 the count now to Wall. Savannah Moorfield's on second. Anderson leads 1-0. It's early, bottom of the first. And there's a ground ball to second base. It's going to get Moorfield to third, but Wall is out at first after a little bobble by second baseman Jessica Netto. And the Bears' all-time home run leader, Kylie Linhart, steps up to the plate with a runner on third, Savannah Moorfield. Kylie batting .320, 8 doubles, 6 home runs, and 23 RBIs. Good year for Kylie so far. Excuse me. And she takes what she felt like was ball one, but the home plate umpire thought otherwise. Wonder what kind of conversations catchers and umpires have. She's probably got to be careful at the plate because she wants that pitch call from Lauren too. And there's a ground ball past the shortstop, and the Bears are on the board. So RBI single for Kylie Linhart, her 24th of the year. And the Bears tie the score here, 1-1 in the bottom of the first. So Savannah Moorfield, our runs leader, with 29, tacks on her 30th, thanks to Kylie Linhart. And Julia Mardigan will step in. Julia, freshman shortstop, the last handful of games. Mechanicsville, Virginia. Start of the year at second base, and then when Caitlin Rackard went down, she has moved over to short and done a good solid job there as well. Mardigan batting .322 on the year. No, I'm hesitating a little on the air. I'm not having a senior moment. It's just I'm trying to keep my papers from blowing to Morganton. 1-1 to count, 2 outs, but the Bears have tied the score 1-1. Kylie Linhart on first. Julie Mardigan at the plate. And here's the pitch. And foul off to the right side. I know the wind's blowing out because I can feel it on my back. Looks like it's blowing to right field pretty hard. And that's where Maddie Carpenter's home run was for Anderson in the top of the first. And there's a shot up the middle off the bat of Mardigan. And Bears have a little 2-out rally going here. Now with runners on first and second. And Laura Beth Wood steps in. Laura Beth batting .221. Got off kind of a slow start, and that batting average has been creeping up bit by bit. She's got some power, 3 home runs on the year, 7 RBIs, and is a very, very good first baseman for the Bears. And there's strike one. Beautiful day, and what few clouds are in the sky are blowing through quickly. And there's a shot to right that might have been a home run if it stayed fair, but the wind was not going to allow that. And the count goes to 0-2. Two-away here. Bottom of the first. Score tied. Kylie Lenoir at second. Julie Mardigan at first. And here's the pitch to Laura Beth Wood. And that's fouled off. So she's got to be pretty defensive down 0-2 here. She does have a shot to push another run across with a hit, potentially. As she faces Harley Duncan. Here's a pitch from Duncan. And she pulled a string on that, and I think Laura Beth knew it. So, Bears go down, but not before Kylie Linhart drives in Savannah Moorfield for the first Lenoir-Rhyne run, and they tie Anderson 1-1 heading into the top of the second. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by NBA Roofing.
Kia in Hickory. We want to see you driving a new Kia or, hey, a quality pre-owned Kia. We've got a huge selection of new and pre-owned Kias. You got to get to Paramount Kia in Hickory, Highway 70, ParamountKia.com.
And welcome back. Top of the second inning here as the Lenoir-Rhyne Bears are hosting the Anderson Trojans today. Trojans ranked 22nd in the nation, 20-4 record. Bears 22-7 with a sack leading 7-1 record. Anderson 3-1. And Lauren Rakes, who gave up a solo home run in the top of the first to South Caldwell graduate Maddie Carpenter, is facing Morgan Charter, the third baseman, and she pops one to right. Wall looks like she's got it, and she does for out one. The outfielders have got to be on their toes today. I don't want to keep mentioning the wind, but there's a lot of wind. And there was a pretty scary fly ball to Savannah Moorfield back at the first, so it's going to be a little nerve-wracking, I imagine, out in the outfield as Lauren now faces Hope Galat. Hope, the catcher for Anderson, from one of three players from Phoenix City, Alabama, right across the state line from Fort Benning, Georgia. Columbus, I think maybe it is. Glot batting .432. Doesn't have quite as many at bats only 37 in 21 games. But a hefty batting average, so you know she's dangerous. This Anderson team is batting .339 on the year, team batting average. But countered by Lenoir-Rhyne's team ERA of 1.97, and it's kind of strength against strength. And same way as flip-flop, Bears are batting .298 on the year. Anderson's ERA is .205, so as the records indicate, certainly at this point in the season, two of the top teams in the South Atlantic Conference. Glott fouls one off, counts 2-2. Bears are 14-0 at home this year, so they're trying to keep that streak alive. On a 23-9 overall record against Anderson, but Anderson's won the last couple, and Lauren Rakes gets her second strikeout of the game. And Glott goes down for 2 away now, here in the top of the first. Sydney Belcher, left fielder, will step in for Anderson. She also from Phoenix City, Alabama, to face Lauren Rakes. Lauren, as I mentioned, 11-1 on the year, 1.55 ERA, and those last 2 strikeouts gave her, I believe, 158 on the year in less than 100 innings pitched. So she has been on a roll this season. Strike one there. 2 away, nobody on for Anderson. Here's the pitch. And a little bit outside. Score's tied at 1. We're just getting started. Lots going on campus today, right just across the street from us. There's a track meet going on, and just beyond that, Bear baseball teams in action, also against Anderson. Whoa! And golly, yeah, we almost had a foul ball. That was as close as we've had. We had one last game, and I thought I could reach out and get it, and I just couldn't quite get there. So 2 games in a row now, we've had a chance, not gotten it. Maybe we'll get another one today. 1-2 the count. Sydney Belcher at the plate, and she hits a ball to center. In comes Moorfield, and she's got it for out number 3. So quick 1-2-3 inning for Lauren Rakes as the Bears will head to the bottom of the second. We're tied at 1. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network. And welcome back, everyone. Lenoir-Rhyne Softball today. I'm Joe Smith, along with Malik Ellis, who's keeping us on the air, as Lauren Rakes steps in to lead off the bottom of the second. Score's tied at 1. Solo home run in the top of the first for Anderson. RBI single from Kylie Linhart in the bottom half, and that's our scoring so far. Lauren Rakes, quick 1-2-3 in the circle in the top half of the second, and leads off here in the bottom. Lauren hitting .259, but went on a little bit of a power run last week. Hit a couple of home runs, I believe, both in the doubleheader against Queens. So she's a very, very good all-around player, both in the circle, obviously, with a 1.55 ERA this year. And at the plate, and she's going to drop a single to right field, and there's another example as Lauren Rakes gets a leadoff hit, and the Bears in business early here in the bottom half of the second. Leanna Sherrill steps in. Leanna is a senior from Statesville, North Carolina, and I believe West Iredell High School. West Iredell High School. She sort of filled the void when Caitlin Rackard went down and moved into second base with Julia Mardigan moving over to short. And she is an excellent fielder. Has had a little bit of struggles at the plate, but she's working on picking that up here as she's getting more playing time. Counts 0-1. Harley Duncan on the mound for Anderson. Lauren Rakes on first. Here's the pitch, and Cheryl tries to bunt again and foul. Bears home today and will visit Wingate on Wednesday before being back home next Saturday for a doubleheader against Mars Hill. So we're in the depths of the conference schedule now. And the Bears, with a 7-1 record, gotten off to a great start, leading the league. And let's hope we can stay there. Be nice to sweep a nationally ranked team today. Anderson, 22nd in the nation, 20-4 overall. And here's the pitch to Cheryl. And foul right. Boy, she got into that one, but foul there past the visitors' bullpen. And the count remains at 1-2. Lauren Rakes is at first for the Bears. 1-1 our score, bottom of the second. And here's the pitch from Duncan. And there's ball two. Good crowd out today. I tell you what, it's just starting to feel a lot better. We got the mask mandate lifted at school this week, which I think excited everyone, including yours truly. And things just seem to be back to normal. Kendall Osborne steps in. Kendall, of course, her regular spot in left field. Excellent outfielder. I thought that might have hit her at first. Looked like she stepped into it trying to avoid it, but evidently it didn't. And she puts the helmet back on and checks with head coach Sheena Holler. Coach Holler, 917 career wins, won her 900th this year, and has just kept on rolling. And it's certainly been a very, very important piece for our athletic department for a long, long time. And quite an impressive record. Naturally, the all-time leader here at LR with 837 wins, 872, 307, and 2, and has coached almost 1,200 games at Lenoir-Rhyne. Just amazing. 1-2 the count now to Kendall Osborne. Lauren Rakes on first. Savannah Moorfield on deck. Here's the pitch from Duncan. And swing and miss goes to the backstop. And I guess you got a piece of it. So the count remains 1-2. And there's a swing and miss, strike three. So after the leadoff single from Lauren Rakes, back-to-back strikeouts for Harley Duncan, and we'll move back to the top of the order for Savannah Moorfield. Moorfield walked and scored back in the first on an RBI single from Kylie Linhart. And she steps in now, try to keep the bottom of the second going for the Bears as she faces Harley Duncan. Fouls that one back. Anderson, as you would suspect from the record and the national ranking, just a really solid team all the way around. So this is a good test for Lenoir-Rhyne here today. And did she go? And they appealed, and Savannah did not swing. And then it makes the count 1-1. Here's a pitch from Duncan. And she kind of pulls the string, lofts one in there. 4 strike 2. She's done that to a few batters, so Duncan changes speeds pretty well. Not the strikeout pitcher that I assume you'll see in game 2, Lake and Maxwell. Maxwell's kind of their Lauren Rakes, and Duncan is their Morgan Beeler. Morgan, of course, done a great job for us so far this year, but not really the strikeout pitchers. Changes speeds, moves the ball around, keeps people off balance. Looks like Duncan's more of that style here. Here's the pitch. And there's a ground ball that's going to get in the gap. It's the shortstop, and she's not going to get Savannah Moorfield. And the ball goes out into center, and it looks like, yes, Lauren Rakes goes to third, and she's going to get in standing up. Well, sliding, but she's going to get in there. And Moorfield moves to second. So it's a nice play by the shortstop to get that ball and try to get Moorfield. Well, with Savannah's speed, she was not going to be able to make that play. Ball was to her backhand, and she had to turn and throw, and Savannah was already at first when the ball got there. They tried to throw to get Lauren Rakes heading back to second, but the ball went out in center field, and Lauren, nice heads-up play. Goes in head first to third, and now all of a sudden, Bears, two runners in scoring position, and Hannah Jennings at the plate. A little meeting at the mound between pitcher, catcher, and infielders. Always get that little bit of, ooh, oh no, when, your pitcher, who's been as good as Lauren's been, goes in head first at third. But you know what? You do what you got to do to win. A nice play by Lauren. Here's a pitch to Hannah Jennings. Hannah butted over. Savannah Moorfield a second back in the first inning. Moorfield ended up scoring on the single from Lenhart. So there's a foul ball right out in front of the plate. Must have hit the plate. And Lauren and Savannah will head back to their respective bases as the count goes 1-1 to Hannah Jennings. Hannah, a senior from Marshall, North Carolina. The ball gets away from the catcher. Count goes to 1-2 on the strike. 2 away here, bottom of the second. Score's tied at 1, but the Bears have a chance here with 3 of the 4 of their biggest bats coming up to push another one across. Here's the pitch from Duncan. And there's a little chopper to second, and there's a little bobble, and she's not going to get the throw there. Lauren Rakes scores. So an error on the second baseman. Gives Hannah Jennings first base. Lauren Rakes scores. And Savannah Moorfield heads to third, now with Cassidy Wall, the Bear RBI leader, stepping in. So the Bears all of a sudden with a chance to get a couple of runs. And Jennings heads into second. Catcher doesn't throw. Certainly with Savannah Moorfield at third, you don't want to fool around with a softball too much because she might have broken on that throw and gotten in. Second, third now with the pitch to Wall, and that's a ball 2. So Duncan in a little bit of a pickle here for Anderson. 1 run's already in. Savannah Moorfield at third, Hannah Jennings at second. Cassie Wall to plate, and that ball is low, ball 3. Well, it's kind of pick your poison. I know she wants to be careful with Wall because she's her leading hitter and leader in RBIs, but standing on deck is Kylie Lenhart, our all-time home run leader. So it's a little bit of a tough spot for the Anderson pitcher. And there's strike one. Count now 3-1. Bears up 2-1 and threatening. We're just in the bottom of the second. As we host the Anderson Trojans. Here's a pitch from Harley Duncan, and that's high, ball 4. So, walk to Wall loads the bases now with Kylie Lenhart stepping to the plate. Kylie, RBI single back in the first to get the Bears on the board. And has to get her shin guards taken care of. And she steps in. 47 career home runs for Kylie. Surpassed Sarah Atkins Cook earlier this week at Queens. And steps in to face Harley Duncan with the bases loaded. And there's strike one. Kylie steps out, had a little smile on her face. I'm thinking that means, I can't believe you called that a strike. No, they said it was a ball. I thought he said it was a strike. And here comes Savannah Moorfield home on the wild pitch, and she is safe. Boy, you can't make any mistakes back there at all with Savannah Moorfield's speed, and the Bears take advantage and now take a 3-1 lead. Still not quite sure what the count is. I think it's 1-1. We'll see if he updates. It is 1-1. So Moorfield scores on a wild pitch, and that ball gets away from Galat. She keeps it in front of her. Bears now with Hannah Jennings on third, Cassidy Wall on second, and Kylie Lenhart still at the plate. And that's outside, ball 3. 3-1 to count. And Duncan is struggling a little bit for Anderson. Julia Mardigan on deck for Lenoir-Rhyne. And they've got a chance to have a big inning here. And there's a shot to right. Foul. Count goes to 3-2. So full count, 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. Bears leading 3-1. She would like to get another 1 or 2 across here with Lenhart at the plate. Here's the pitch from Duncan. And that's ball 4. So the bases are loaded once again as Lenhart draws a walk. And Julia Mardigan steps in. She had a solid single up the middle back in the first, batting .322 on the year. One of 3 freshmen who have really, really looked like solid players for a long time here at Lenoir-Rhyne. Caitlin Rackard, who of course isn't playing today, Julia Mardigan, and Cassidy Wall. And Brooklyn Hever, the freshman pitcher from Shelby, has had a good year when she's come in, and Mardigan pops out to the shortstop to end the inning. Not before the Bears get 2 across to take a 3-1 lead. We'll head to the top of the third. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing.
Being busy in my garden. I got flowers to plant and beds to clean out. When I was feeling really tired and not like myself, I saw a doctor. Look at me now. The doctors were good, they worked with me, and they laughed with me. I'm back to doing everything I love. I needed a doctor, and I found the expert for my heart.
Olivia Wheeler will lead off the top of the third for Anderson. As the pitch from Lauren Rakes is high, gets to the backstop, but no damage done. Wheeler, a junior from Corryton, Tennessee. Facing Lauren Rakes. Lauren gave up the solo home run in the top of the first, but has retired 5 straight. Knock on wood. And now has a 3-1 lead. Here's a pitch. And there's a strike. 1-2 the count now to Olivia Wheeler. Wheeler, Gracie Williams, and then back to the top of the order, Jessica Neto. And gets a piece of that one to stay alive. Wheeler batting .234 on the year. Excuse me. 2-2 the count, but the lineup as a whole for Anderson is formidable. A .339 team batting average. And as I mentioned at the top, their leadoff hitter, Jessica Neto, and the third place hitter, Kaysen Boatner, are batting together about .425 with 22 doubles, 22 homers, and 60 RBIs. So they are leading that train. But the Bears lead now 3-1. Counts 2-2 to Wheeler as she faces Lauren Rakes. And in the dirt for ball 3. Kind of pats herself on the chest there. Tells Kylie Linhart that one's on me. And looks in the dugout. And at the wristband, here's the full count pitch. And there's strike 3. So after running the count full, Lauren gets her third strikeout of the game. And in steps Gracie Williams, the right fielder for the Anderson Trojans. Williams batting .333. 4 doubles on the year. And she takes ball 1. Beautiful day here in Hickory. Just there's a little high and tight ball too. If the wind was only 20 miles an hour slower, it would only be 20 miles an hour. It's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but it is windy. And you can probably see, if you're watching, you can probably see the trees in the background, confirming that is in the flagpole. 2-1 to count now. Nobody on, 1 out for Anderson. Here's a pitch from Lauren, and that's outside, ball 3. So she's run 3-ball count on both batters here in the top of the third. And it'd be nice to not have anybody on when Jessica Neto steps to the plate. There is strike 2. So another full count for Lauren as she faces Gracie Williams. Checks the dugout. And here's the payoff pitch. And swing and a miss. So nice job there. Back-to-back strikeouts for Lauren Rakes, her 4th of the game. And we go back to the top of the order for second baseman Jessica Neto. Neto led off the game with a strikeout. But as I mentioned earlier, very dangerous hitter. Came in batting .438 with 10 home runs and 25 runs batted in. There's a swing and a miss. That was kind of power against power there. She had a cut, and Lauren threw it past her. 3-1 your score. Bears in the lead. Game 1 of our doubleheader, and that's a little bit outside. As Kylie trots back to the wall. And Lauren kind of regroup a little bit and step back on the rubber to face Jessica Neto. And there's a shot to left. That may be out. No, it's laid up. It's in the corner. And Neto will stand up at second with a 2-out double. And as I had mentioned earlier, she can hit, as most of this Anderson team can. Neto's 9th double of the year, and she is in scoring position now with 2 outs and Maddie Carpenter at the plate. Maddie, a little bit of a homecoming for her. She played right up the road in South Caldwell High School, listed from Hickory, and responsible for Anderson's lone run to this point. A fly ball to right that got out and put Anderson up pretty quick, 1-0. Bears have rallied back with a 3-1 lead, but now another ball from Lauren. And here's the pitch. And there's a shot past Jennings into the left field corner. They're going to send Neto, and they are going to be able to hold Carpenter at first. So Maddie Carpenter having a nice day back here in the Hickory area with an RBI single, and she's driven in both runs for Anderson. Heads the score now 3-2. And another dangerous hitter, Kaysen Boatner, 12 home runs, 35 runs batted in, batting .417 for Anderson. Steps in, 2 outs, scores 3-2. And kind of wondered coming into this game, both pitching staffs are good, but both teams can score runs. And that, with the wind, kind of playing some havoc in the outfield, could be an interesting, potentially high-scoring day here. Flags are just straight out right now, so that needs to change with Boatner standing in at the plate. And they turn a little bit towards right now as Lauren Ricks comes with the pitch, and she fouls it back our way, 0-1. Three-two score, 2 outs here. Top of the third. Here's a pitch from Lauren. And took a little bit off of it, but that's a high fly, and that is going to go over the scoreboard. Wow. That is her 13th home run of the year. And quickly now, Anderson takes a 4-3 lead. Boy, that was high and long and gone for Kaysen Boatner. Well, you kind of knew coming in, that was a pair you're going to have to deal with somehow, Boatner and Neto. And in this inning, Neto double and score. Boatner 2-run home run. X factor in all this has been Maddie Carpenter, local South Caldwell product, who's driven in the other 2 of the 4 runs. So Lauren settles back in here, hopefully. It's Hannah Whitaker at the plate. Hannah hit a foul ball pop up to Hannah Jennings to end the first. But takes ball 1 here. 2 away here. Anderson 4-3 lead after a 2-run home run by Kaysen Boatner that was high and deep over the scoreboard in left center. Lauren looks in. And here's the pitch. And there's a shot to Kendall Osborne, and she will make the play to end the inning. So, innings, top half's over, but not before Anderson scores 3 runs to take a 4-3 lead. We'll head to the bottom of the third. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing.
Cordell Harris Insurance Agency, a family-owned and operated business serving the Hickory area since 1981, where we strive to take care of you and your den like family. As an independent insurance agency, we offer a vast spectrum of coverage for your commercial and personal insurance needs with our extensive network of providers. Cordell Harris Insurance Agency is a proud sponsor of Lenoir-Rhyne Athletics. Protect your den with Cordell Harris. Go Bears!
Welcome back, everyone, as Laura Beth Wood steps in to lead off the bottom of the third for the Bears. 3-run top of the third from Anderson gives them a 4-3 lead, so Bears need to fight back a little bit here. And there's a slow roller to shore. A third baseman's going to make the play, and they get Laura Beth at first for out number 1. So 1 pitch, 1 out brings Lauren Rakes to the plate. Lauren singled and scored back in the second inning. Of course, is on the mound today against a pretty formidable Anderson team. So she'll try to help herself out here as she faces Harley Duncan for Anderson. Anderson ranked 22nd in the nation. 20-4 coming in, 3-1 in the South Atlantic Conference. Here's a pitch to Lauren, and that's low and away, ball 1. Anderson 3-1 in the conference. That lone loss coming to UVA Wise. They split with UVA Wise and swept Mars Hill. Bears at 7-1, played more conference games than anybody in the league, or most of the teams in the league, and lead the conference with that 7-1 record. Bears 22-7. Of course, a little rough start. Started the season 2-5, but since then have gone 20-2. Here's a pitch to Lauren, 1-2 the count, and stays alive back to the screen. Came into the day hitting .259, but that single back in the second, of course, raised that a little number to second base and fielded in close play, but they got Lauren for out number 2. So 2 away as Leanna Sherrill steps in. Sherrill, a senior from West Iredell High School, right up I-40 from Hickory. She struck out back in the second, her second try against Harley Duncan. They had a little bit of a rough start, but has gotten the first 2 batters here in the third. But hopefully not settling in too much. And there's strike 1 to Sherrill. Count goes to 1-1. Bears play at Wingate on Wednesday. Here's the pitch, and that goes back to the wall, ball 2. Bears left 2 runners on in the first, 3 runners on in the second, so hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt us. And there's going to get just over the shortstop's head and a little bloop single by Leanna Sherrill. And with 2 outs, Bears have a base runner and Kendall Osborne coming to the plate. What do they say? It's a line drive and a box score. There you go. It's taking a while for Leanna to kind of get sorted out at the plate, so I'm sure that'll be a confidence builder for her. And hopefully the start of a little run here as Kendall Osborne steps in. And that ball's inside. Ball 1. Savannah Moorfield on deck, but Kendall will have to reach. Whew, boy, I tell you what. Nice job by the plate umpire. Because a gust took a, I don't want to say a sandstorm, but it blew a lot of dirt towards the right field fence, the right field line. And the second baseman, Jessica Netto for Anderson, had to turn her back to it and kind of walk away. So good job with the umpire being aware of that and stopping play. Here's a pitch to Kendall. And that's a strike on a breaking pitch. Counts now 1-1. 4-3 your score. Anderson leads. Bears with a run on first. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. And there's a single pass to the third baseman, and the Bears are in business. Kendall Osborne's first hit of the day. And Lenoir-Rhyne runners on first and second with Savannah Moorfield stepping in. Savannah walked and scored back in the first. Had an infield single. Came around and scored in the second on a wild pitch. So she accounted for 2 of the 3 runs for Lenoir. Big swing at a Duncan may have taken a little bit off of that one. And 0-1's a count. Leanna Sherrill at second. Kendall Osborne at first. Here's the pitch to Moorfield. And it's a grounder to second base. And as fast as Savannah is, that's pretty short distance to throw, and she will go down 4-3 for the third out. So the Bears get a couple of base runners but can't score, and we'll head to the top of the fourth with Anderson leading 4-3 here in Game 1 of our South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by NBA Roofing.
Kia in Hickory. We want to see you driving a new Kia or, hey, a quality pre-owned Kia. We've got a huge selection of new and pre-owned Kias. You got to get to Paramount Kia in Hickory, Highway 70, ParamountKia.com.
Four-3 your score here is Anderson leading Lenoir-Rhyne. And coming to the plate, Lauren Rakes will be facing Morgan Charter, Hope Galot, and Sydney Belcher. And trying to keep the score where it is and give the Bears a chance to get a couple on the board. Strike 1 from Lauren. little bit of disagreement from the Anderson dugout on the pitch, but it's 0-1, and there's ball one. Lauren came in today 11-1 on the year, 1.55 ERA, 156 strikeouts. Now 4 should be at 160. But Anderson's touched her up a little bit. Solo home run in the first, and then 3 runs in the third. 2-run home run by Casey Boatner being the big blow, and Anderson leading 4-3. Count 2-2 now. And Lauren checks the wristband. And here's the 2-2 pitch to Morgan Charter. And it's a fly ball to left. Osborne is there, and that's out number 1. So, Kendall Osborne called out number 3 in the bottom of the third, or in the top of the third, and now catches out number 1. I'm getting ahead of myself there. In the top of the fourth. 1 away. Hope Galat at the plate, the catcher for Anderson. She struck out back in the second and faces Lauren Rakes here. And then there's ball 1. And ball, strike 1. Well, did it again. Talked about that a couple innings ago. Get a little jump ahead. Have a delay call. 1-1 to count now. And that looked outside, yes. 2-1. So 1 away here. Top of the fourth. 2-1 to count on Hope Galat. And she faces Lauren Rakes. She's trying to get out of this inning a little bit quicker than the previous one. That could be us. May leak. No, not quite here. Yeah. We had a chance at one earlier in the game. I was more worried about it hitting the camera. Thought Malik might have a chance at it, but it was just a little bit too far over. There's a table between he and the front of the box, so he couldn't quite reach out there. We'll get one before the year's over. Here's a pitch from Lauren. And outside ball 3, so count goes full to the Anderson catcher, Hope Galat. As Lauren looks to record the second out of the inning. Here's the pitch. And boy, that was a blast, way foul. Out into the parking lot. That one's probably going to make the street. And it does. I go down there to the entrance of the track. So count stays 3-2. Lauren looks in. And here's the pitch. And there's ball 4. So pitch a little bit low. Puts Hope Galat at first with 1 away, and Sydney Belcher stepping in. Sydney and a line out to center field. And a fly ball out to center field. Back in the second to end the second. So she steps in for the second time against Lauren. Hope Galat at first. Anderson leads 4-3. We're in the top of the fourth. And Lauren caught a little blast of wind and I guess some dirt. She had to step out of the circle and I think she rubbed her eyes a little bit. And here we go. There's a foul back. 4 strike 1. On 1 to count. Here's a pitch, and there's a shot to right. Wall looks like she's got room, and she does. 4 out, number 2. Pretty hard hit, but plenty of room for Cassidy Wall as she records the second out. And Olivia Wheeler will step in. Wheeler struck out looking to lead off the top of the third. Wouldn't mind having that result again. It would end the top of the fourth. Here's a pitch from Lauren. There's a fly ball to the left. It's way up there, but looks like Osborne's got plenty of time and room, and there's out number 3. So after a tough top of the third for Lauren Rakes, she gets through the top of the fourth, giving up a walk, but nothing else, and we'll head to the bottom half. Anderson leads 4-3. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network.
Break great with Carolina West Wireless. Great new phones and a great customer experience, all on our great nationwide high-speed network. Stop by today and get big savings on select Samsung smartphones, like $350 off the Samsung Galaxy S20 and S20 Plus, and $350 off the Note 20 and Note 20 Ultra. The great savings continue with 4 lines of unlimited data for just $35 a month per line. Celebrate great savings and go stay connected wherever your travels take you.
And welcome back here for the bottom of the fourth. Lenoir-Rhyne hosting Anderson today. Anderson leading 4-3. Game 1 of our doubleheader as Hannah Jennings will step in. And has sacrificed to move Savannah Moorfield over in the first inning. Reached on an error in the second. So it will be Jennings, Wall, and Linhart for the Bears as they try to get a run back here, trailing 4-3. There's ball 1. Here's a pitch from Harley Duncan. She has gone the distance so far for Anderson. Had a rough first couple innings. Looked to be heading in the right direction in the third. Gave up back-to-back singles, but did get out of it without a run. So she's had runners on and had to battle out of some stuff every inning so far. I mean, she may have had a little dust and wind problem herself. Here's a pitch from Duncan. And Hannah takes ball 2. Excuse me, ball 3. Here's a pitch. And that's outside, ball 4. Jennings could have toyed with going to second, but probably made a good decision there. At least made Hope Galot, the Anderson catcher, think about it. And Cassidy Wall steps in. Cassidy, our RBI leader, grounded out to second back in the first, walked in the second and was stranded. And here's a pitch. That's a fly to right. Looks like it's going to hold up, and it does, for out number 1. Hannah Jennings will step back. To first. And Kylie Linhart will step in. Kylie singled and drove in a run in the first, walked in the second. And we could use be nice if she could extend her home run record here at Lenoir-Rhyne to 48 and give the Bears a lead. There have been a couple balls fly out today so far, unfortunately both off the bats of Anderson players. Here's a pitch to Kylie, and there's a fly to left, and I don't know, the wind might have killed that one. I thought it was going to get there. I think the left fielder thought so too. She didn't come towards it very quickly, and then all of a sudden it just kind of died. So second hit today for Kylie Linhart. That will get Hannah Jennings to second, and Julia Mardigan stepping in. Julia had a single up the middle back in the first, hopped up to the shortstop in the second, and she's got a runner in scoring position here, the freshman from Mechanicsville, Virginia. And she takes ball one. Here's a pitch from Duncan. And that's a shot to left. That is going to get over the head of the left fielder into the fence, and one run is going to score. Mardigan steps into second with a double to left field, and the Bears have tied the game at 4. Boy, that was a drive. It didn't ever look like it was going to go out. The angle wasn't, arch on the ball wasn't such, but RBI nonetheless, as Hannah Jennings scores from second, and the Bears tied up 4-4. One out here, and Laura Beth Wood stepping in. Laura Beth's got some power too, 3 home runs this year. So LR now with runners on second and third and only one out, they have a chance to take the lead. It's going to take some runs to beat Anderson. Kind of realize that pretty quick, just by looking at the statistics, and then the home run in the first, and then the 3-run third inning. And you kind of got the feeling, 3 or 4 runs probably not going to win this game, and it's not now. The score's 4-4. So Laura Beth steps in. Struck out in the first, grounded out to third to lead off the third. And she will face Harley Duncan. Here's the pitch. Took some speed off that one, outside for ball one. Bears have 2 runners on, score tied at 4. Here's the pitch, and it looked like a bunt try from Laura Beth. That was bold. But got to keep people thinking. And the count's now 1-1. Laura Beth, a junior from Madison, North Carolina, she fouls that one off. I think it's going to be out of play. Oh, well, I apologize. Y'all may have seen more than I did, because we are blocked by the Bears dugout, and that's my blunder. Foul ball out, but scored a run. And the Bears now with a 5-4 lead. Just the angle where we are. Can't see much past first base, just a little bit of the grass. So I apologize for that one. But good result as the Bears retake the lead. Not sure, but I think I see another pretty prodigious Lenoir-Rhyne home run hitter. Kat Rivers is here today. I can't remember what her married name is. I apologize. But she's hit a few out of this park in her day, too. Lenoir-Rhyne Hall of Fame. 2-0 the count now to Lauren Rakes. She now with a 5-4 lead and looking to help herself out. As Julia Mardigan stands on third. And here's the pitch. A little outside, 3-1 to count now. Leanna Sherrill on deck. Lawrence got a hit and scored a run today. They may be pitching around her a little bit. And there's a foul ball. Three and 2 the count now, 2 outs. So I'm sure Julie Mardigan will be active there off of third base. As the Bears are looking to tack on another run, extend that 5-4 lead. Here's the pitch from Duncan. And that's high, ball 4. So Lauren walks to reach base for the second time today, and Leanna Sherrill steps in. Struck out in the third, but had a single, struck out in the second, had a single back in the third. So she's 1 for 2 today. And a hit here would be another run for the Bears. Here's a pitch from Duncan. And that's high, ball 1. The wind has not let up much. Oh, and there's a pass ball, but Mardigan is going to hold at third. Rakes is able to move up to second, so now Bears with 2 runners in scoring position. Bears scored one of their runs on a wild pitch. Savannah Moorfield scored back in the second. That pass ball almost cost Anderson another run, but did not. And here's the pitch. Here's a foul ball off to the left, and a nice catch by a fan. It's a red hat on, so I'm guessing that's an LR guy. Maybe. We can see left field, so I will let you know that. Here's the pitch. And there's strike 2 to Leanna Sherrill. 2 runners on for the Bears, 2 outs, 5-4 lead here. We're in the bottom of the 4th. Now the catcher has to step out. And the second baseman's having some problems. I'm telling you, folks, it's windy. I'm sure you can see the flags and the trees in the background. And both teams have had a little bit of problem in the infield. Having players have to ask for time. Get away from the dust, and there's strike 3. So Sherrill goes down on strikes for the second time today. However, good inning for the Bears as they score 2 and retake the lead. Lenoir-Rhyne leads 5-4. We'll head to the top of the 5th right after this. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by NBA Roofing. Top of the fifth here at Bear Field as Lenoir-Rhyne leads Anderson 5-4 in game one of our doubleheader. Anderson ranked 22nd in the country and have shown they can score runs quickly. Here's a fly to left and foul, and Osborne couldn't quite get there. So strike number one. Anderson only with 4 hits, but 2 of those were long home runs. One off the bat of Maddie Carpenter, a freshman from right up the road here, South Call High School. The other from Kaysen Boatner, her 13th of the year. But LR, with their 8 hits, have put together runs in I think 3 of their 4 innings so far, and lead 5-4. A little bit outside. Nice movement on that pitch, but a little bit too much for Lauren as the count goes to 2-1. Gracie Williams leading off, and then the tough top of the order, Jessica Netto, Maddie Carpenter, and Kaysen Boatner would be next. It'd be good if Lauren could get an out here. Particularly Netto and Boatner, who have now combined for 23 home runs and 23 doubles on the season. And there's a fly ball to center. It's hanging up in there as Mardegan can't get there, neither can Savannah. So it kind of, and again, it's hard to tell from here. That could have been one of those as the wind just kind of held up and it was just out of the reach of the shortstop, and center fielder just couldn't quite get there. So lead off single for Gracie Williams, and that puts a runner on for the dangerous Jessica Netto. Netto came in batting .438, 1 for 2 today. Had a double in the third and scored a run, so she's done nothing to hurt her batting average. And she squares the bunt and foul. Game 2 to follow, typically 20 minutes or so after the end of game 1. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Malik Ellis, my partner here, as he does all the stuff that keeps us on the air, so that's the important part. I just have to talk, which, if you know me, you know I can do, whether you like it or not. 1-1 to count now. Lauren facing Jessica Netto. And here's the pitch. She squares the bunt again. Nice bunt picked up by Jennings. She's going to get the runner at first. But a nice sacrifice by Netto for the first out. But it puts Gracie Williams on second base with Maddie Carpenter coming to the plate. Carpenter, as I've mentioned, local product. Nice little homecoming for her so far. She's 2 for 2. The home run, 2 RBIs, scored 2 runs. So it's 2 straight across for Maddie Carpenter as she faces Lauren Rakes, and there's strike 1. Gracie Williams on second for the Trojans. They trail 5-4. Lauren Rakes trying to keep it that way as she faces Maddie Carpenter. That ball's a little in the dirt. And the count goes to 1-1. Carpenter, the designated player here in game 1. And here's the pitch. Wow, way a little bit high. And the count now 2-1. Almost a perfect blue sky today. A couple of clouds way off in the distance. Other than that, it is nice. There's a shot to center. Moorfield goes back. She's going to have room. Is Williams able to get to third? And she is. So a sac fly to to Savannah Moorfield. Puts Gracie Williams at third, and Kaysen Boatner steps in. A long, high home run over the scoreboard back in the third. Her 13th of the year. To put that in a little bit of perspective, our all-time home run leader, Kylie Linhart, has 6 this year. And there's a shot to left. That's going to be one run to tie the game, and Boatner's going to try for second. She's going to get in there. So, RBI double for Kaysen Boatner, and we've got a tie ball game at 5-5. Two outs here. Gracie Williams scores from third on the double from Kaysen Boatner. Her second hit of the day. And Hannah Whitaker will step in. Whitaker hit a little pop foul to Hannah Jennings back in the first. Fly out to Kendall Osborne in left to end the third. And she steps in with a runner in scoring position, that being Kaysen Boatner. And Anderson looking to retake the lead. And there's strike number 2. Whitaker, the shortstop, she's done a pretty good job today for Anderson. Here's the pitch from Lauren. And it's a ground ball to Leanna Sherrill. Easy pick up and throw, and that's the end of the top of the 5th. However, Anderson gets a run across on an RBI double from Kaysen Boatner to tie the score at 5. We'll head to the bottom half. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. Heading into the bottom of the 5th as Kendall Osborne will lead off for the Bears. Kendall single last time up. Struck out in her first at bat and squeaks one past the third baseman for her second hit of the day. So leadoff batter on for Lenoir-Rhyne. Single by Kendall Osborne, and we'll head to the top of the order for Savannah Moorfield. Savannah 1 for 2 on the day. Scored a pair of runs. One of those on a wild pitch back in the second. And Bears have the beginnings, hopefully, of another rally. Score's tied at 5. We've gone back and forth. Anderson took a 1-0 lead. Bears then led 3-1. Anderson came back, led 4-3. Bears led 5-4, and now we're tied at 5-5. So you just looked at the records of the two teams coming in, and you thought, hey, it might be pretty good ball games, and this one has been so far. As the Bears battle the 22nd ranked Anderson Trojans. Harley Duncan has been in the circle for Lenoir-Rhyne. Excuse me, for Anderson since the start. Here's the pitch to Moorfield, and she grounds that one foul. Duncan's given up 9 hits today and walked 5. 14 base runners This is the problem, though, for Lenoir-Rhyne. Bears have left 9 runners on base. I hope that does not come back to haunt them here in the later innings. Here's a pitch to Moorfield. And that's going to be a little short pop-up to second base and out number 1. So Hannah Jennings will step in. Had a sacrifice to move Savannah Moorfield over back in the first. Reached on an error in the second. Walked and scored in the fourth. Hadn't had much action at third today. A couple of plays. But she is an excellent fielder. Man in the hot corner. Oh, 1 to count to Jennings. Here's a pitch from Harley Duncan. And that's low in the dirt, ball 1. Jennings came into the game batting .312. Senior from Marshall, North Carolina. Here's the pitch. And there's a little slow roller to first. Got the runner there. Could not get Osborne at second. Nice play, though, by the first baseman. As Kendall Osborne slides in safely. And that brings Cassidy Wall to the plate. Cassidy, our leading hitter, coming in. 0 for 3 today. 0 for 2. She did walk back in the second. So also our leader in RBIs. And you might have heard a parent or fan close to me say something you can drive, and she can drive it if she gets the right pitch. Here's a pitch. That certainly wasn't one, as that was a ball. Count now 2-0. Kendall Osborne at second for the Bears. Lenoir-Rhyne trying to retake the lead here. We're in the bottom of the fifth, score tied at 5. Here's a pitch to Wall, and she fouls that one back. Count goes to 2-1. Excuse me. 2-1 to count. Cassidy Wall at the plate. Kendall Osborne at second for the Bears. And fouls that one back. Might have been ball 3. I think it was a little high. Count goes to 2-2. Bears will be at Wingate on Wednesday for a conference doubleheader. Return home next Saturday to host Mars Hill. And pull the string there. Count goes full. So 3-2, 2 outs. Osborne will take off from second. The umpire dusts the plate off. And Cassidy Wall steps in. Here comes the payoff pitch. And that's high, ball 4. 6th walk of the game now for Harley Duncan. Second time Wall has reached on walks. And Kylie Linhart steps in. Kylie's had a good day. 2 for 2. Had RBI, 2 for 2. An RBI back in the first to drive in Lenoir-Rhyne's first run. And the Anderson pitching coach will step out to talk to Harley Duncan. This one's just pitcher, catcher, and coach. I imagine part of that conversation will be something to the effect of, this one is Lenoir-Rhyne's all-time leader in home runs. Which she is. After a home run at Queens, gave her 47 in her career. Answer pass Sarah Atkins Cook. Another LR great. Played a lot of really good softball for us. Here's the pitch to Kylie, and swing and a miss. Duncan took something off of that one. Bears looking to retake the lead, and couldn't ask for much more than Kylie Lennard at the plate with runners in scoring position, or a runner in scoring position. Here's the 0-1 pitch. And that's ball one. Flag still at attention, out in left center. Here's the pitch to Lenoir, and that's low. Ball two. Not much relief for Duncan. On deck is Julia Mardigan. She's 2 for 3 today with an RBI. So top of this Bears order is pretty formidable in its own right. Count now 3-1. Ball 4 would load the bases for the Bears. Score tied at 5. Here's the pitch from Duncan. And she did not go, and that is ball 4. Are they going to appeal? Did not go. Didn't look like she went. I think Duncan thought it was just going to be a strike. Anyway, and Kylie moved the bat a little bit, but didn't look like she went from here either. So back-to-back walks. Sorry for the pause. I had to get my scorebook sorted out. And there's a single ball. Pull the trigger too early again. Thought on that was going to be. And the Bears go down, unfortunately, leaving 3 runners on base. And that's been a difficult story for Lenoir-Rhyne so far in this game. So no runs, but a big threat from the Bears, and the score remains tied at 5. We'll head to the top of the 6th. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing.
I knew that there was an opportunity to have my college paid for if I was good enough to play baseball at that level. That was going to make a big difference in my family. D2 baseball gave me an opportunity to play at a high level and to get an education that's going to be valuable for me throughout the rest of my life. I chose to take my experience of being a student athlete and pursue that within my career and to get a master's degree. If I wouldn't have had a baseball scholarship, there'd be no chance that I'm doing what I'm doing today.
And we head to the top of the 6th, score tied at 5. Lenoir-Rhyne and Anderson. Been a pretty good battle here. LR's left a lot of runners on base. This bad feeling that could come back and haunt them here in what has been a pretty tight ball game against 2 very good softball teams. On to the count now as Morgan Charter steps in. Morgan at third base for the Trojans. She's 0 for 2 so far today. And hit batter, I suppose. Hard to see even that. Kylie caught the ball, it sounded like. Maybe it was catcher interference. Nonetheless, Morgan Charters at first base. And Hope Galot steps in. Hope struck out in the second, walked in the fourth, and has a runner on first here. And hits a long foul ball off to the left. Charter was on the move there. I think a single would have easily put her on third. We're getting late here. In a tie ball game. Here's the pitch. Well, it looked like she wanted a bunt. And it's strike 2. Game 2 to follow. This one far from over. With a tie score in the bottom and the top of the 6th. Outside count goes to 2-2. Lauren looks in the dugout. Now checks the wristband. And here's the pitch. Another foul ball off the bat of Galot. And the battle between she and Lauren Rakes continues. Lauren with 4 strikeouts today. She's had a lot of strikeouts this year, but as we've mentioned, this is a tough lineup. Anderson is hitting .339 as a team coming in. And did not strike out very often as a team. So Lauren's had her work cut out for her, as has Harley Duncan. And we see that in the score here, 5-5. And there's ball 3. A lot of Bear fans wanted that one. Looked like Lauren did too. She gets a little encouragement from Laura Beth Wood. I imagine if you're a pitcher and you say, this is the pitch I really have to have right now, and then it's a ball, that can be a little frustrating. Full count. Here's a pitch, and Lauren walks Hope Galot. So all of a sudden, 2 runners on and no outs for Anderson. And Sydney Belcher steps in. Belcher's fly out to center, fly out to right. And Coach Holler will head to the circle to talk to Lauren and the rest of the infield. It's late and 2 runners on with no outs. You don't want to give up a big inning here. You got limited at bats left. Looks like there's going to be a pinch runner. There is, for Hope Galot. Let me check my roster and see who that is. Maggie Massey, junior from Johnston, South Carolina, will now run for Hope Galot. So I imagine Anderson trying to get a little more speed on the base paths. Run here is important. So Lauren's ready. And here's a pitch, and there's a bunt foul. Although Kylie made a good effort at it. Almost got there, but it just ends up being strike one. Up checks with her, make sure she's okay. And it looks like she is. So 1 to count to Sydney Belcher. Look to bunt again, pulls the bat back, and that's ball one. One and 1 to count. It's getting a little intense here. The tie score. And she's hit by a pitch, and that blows the bases. Now Lauren's in a really tough spot. She's loaded the bases with no hits. And Olivia Wheeler stepping in. Coach Holler has to umpire something he wanted to discuss with the other ref. And evidently I'm not sure exactly what the question was. But regardless, the bases are loaded with no outs, and Olivia Wheeler stepping in to face Lauren Rakes. And I've not seen any away games, or been calling any. This is about the biggest pickle I can remember Lauren being in this year. And to magnify that, you're facing the 22nd ranked team in the country, whose team batting average is right at 340. 1-0 the count. Here's the pitch from Lauren. And there's a foul ball back here. And went off the knee of a spectator who made absolutely no reaction whatsoever. That's big. Now he's pointing his knee. Yeah, I think it hit me right there. So 1-1 to count. Bears in the jam here. Bases loaded with no outs. And there's strike two. Out here would be big. Of course, all the outs are big, but Lauren needs to get a little confidence back. Kind of get settled a little bit. And that's high. Count goes to 2-2. Five the score. But Anderson with a big threat here. And that's ball three. Bear fans a little bit restless on that call. Full count now, nobody out, no place to put Olivia Wheeler. And a swing and a miss. Nice job of Lauren there to get out number one. She'd gotten ahead. And all of a sudden the count was 3-2, and with the bases loaded and nobody out, last thing you want to do is just press a run across on a walk. And she didn't. So one away now, and Gracie Williams steps in. Williams singled and scored back in the fifth. She's got an opportunity here and fouls back here towards the maintenance shed. 4 strike number one. Up heads in to get a few more softballs. Tosses one of them to Lauren. And we'll try to settle back in and get back to it with Gracie Williams at the plate. big spot here for both teams as Lauren comes to the plate. And there is strike number 2. Lauren looks pretty focused. And here's the pitch. And it's high, ball 1. She's missed high some today. Overall, hasn't done a bad job against a really good Anderson Trojan team. Here's a pitch, and it's outside, ball 2. She was ahead of the last batter and ran the count full. Let's hope she can get Williams here. Here's a pitch. And there's a fly to right. Wall cannot get to it. Looked like she was going to be able to make a diving catch. And they get the runner at second. But a run scores. And Anderson takes a 6-5 lead. So runners now at first and third. As Sydney Belcher was forced out at second. 2 away. Pinch runner Maggie Massey stands at third. Gracie Williams at first. And the very, very dangerous Jessica Netto at the plate. And fouls one back. Count goes to 1-1. Netto with 10 home runs this year. She's 1 for 2, had a double and scored a run. Sacrificed back in the 5th. Need to keep her off the plate here. That's a fly ball to right. And it's foul. Nobody evidently was able to get there. Lost sight of all 3 players. But the count's 1-2. Anderson leading 6-5. Lauren's trying to keep him there. And there's a fly ball to left. It's foul. And called by Kendall Osborne. That's a blind spot for us, too. And, boy, I tell you what, that's a boost there for the Bears, who came back from a bases loaded, no outs, only gave up 1 run, and evidently a pretty nice catch by Kendall Osborne in the spot of the field that we can't see. So we give up the lead, but the damage could have been a lot worse as we head to the bottom of the 6th. Bears trail 6-5. We'll be right back. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network. Gee whiz.
NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
And we have a pitching change for Anderson. And the pitcher I had guessed might start game one. Looks clearly like their ace. Lakin Maxwell steps in to try to close this thing out for Anderson. They've got a 1-run lead, 6-5. Laura Beth Wood steps in. Maxwell 11-3 on the year, 1.59 ERA. And here's the pitch. And that's strike one. Been an exciting back and forth game. Both teams have led on a couple of different occasions. Score's been tied. But Anderson leads right now. Bears have 6 outs to try to win this game one. Counts 0-2 on Laura Beth Wood. Has an RBI on a sac fly so far today, and takes ball one. Maxwell, as I mentioned, 11-3, 83 and 2/3 innings pitched, 126 strikeouts. So she gets strikeouts when she needs them. But there's ball two. We're late, and Beth Wood takes one off the shoulder. So, a couple of hit batters here in the last little bit. I don't know if it's just an unwritten rule that there may have in baseball and softball, but certainly can't assume any intent. See balls get away from him a lot. Imagine there'll be a base runner for Wood. Can't quite see. Looks like the athletic trainer, the assistant coach is down there checking on Laura Beth. And is she going to stay in? I think Coach Holler's going to put a pinch run in for her. It's pretty hard hit. She didn't flinch at the plate, but you could hear it. She took a pretty good shot off the upper arm. And it's like number 2 for the Bears, Cameron Bryant, will pinch run for Laura Beth. Cameron, a freshman from Bunker Hill High School, right up the road here. So we'll get her in the scorebook. And she will run for Laura Beth Wood as Lakin Maxwell faces Lauren Rakes. Lauren 1 for 2 on the day, scored a run. Single in the second. Walk in the fourth. And trying to help herself out here with no outs and a runner on. Looks like she wanted to bunt again, and that ball is high, ball 2. So Maxwell's come in with step in to hit for Lenoir-Rhyne, freshman from Hickory. And she will bat for Leanna Sherrill. So Cameron Bryant, pinch running for Laura Beth Wood, stands at first, and Addison Blair, pinch hitting for Leanna Sherrill, is at the plate. 1 away. Bears trailing 6-5, but they do have a runner on and need to get something going here. And there's ball 2. Addison hasn't seen a lot of action, 13 at-bats so far this year. And there's a big swing and a miss. She's tall. And she steps in to face Lincoln Maxwell for Anderson. 2-1 to count, 1 out. And there's strike number 2. Two and two the count. Addison Blair at the plate for the Bears, and that's a pop foul. Got a change behind the plate, too, it looks like. For Anderson. Looks like number 10, Lenoir-Rhyne, is behind the plate. She's from Puerto Rico. Here's a pitch to Blair, and there's strike 3. So, after Laura Beth Wood got hit by a pitch to lead the inning off, Maxwell's got 2 strikeouts, both looking. And quickly now 2 are away. And Corey Hammett will step in, senior from Oxford, North Carolina, to pinch hit for Kendall Osborne. Kendall Osborne 2 for 3 today, but Hammett coming in to pinch hit. Here's the pitch from Maxwell. And that's foul back, strike 2. Cameron Bryant standing at first. She's pinch running for Laura Beth Wood. Wood took a pitch off the upper arm. And there's strike 3. So Maxwell comes in and does what her stats say she might do. Maybe not. Osborne for out number 1. Carpenter from South Caldwell had homered, walked, and had a sacrifice fly in her first 3 plate appearances, so bit of a win there for the Bears. And Lauren Rakes, as she flies to left for out number 1. Bears trail here 6-5. It's getting late. Lauren had a tough 6th inning, but got a key strikeout and great catch, evidently, by Kendall Osborne in the left field corner foul. Our vision was blocked on that one. So I didn't see the catch, but once I saw our infielders jumping up and down, I knew that was pretty good. So Bears had bases, or Anderson had bases loaded with no outs in the 6th and only came away with 1 run. So maybe that's a good sign for Lenoir-Rhyne. As Kaysen Boatner steps in. Trouble's not over because she can hit it. She had a double and a home run so far today, and that home run was way over the board. Doesn't matter, though, as Lauren Rakes gets her here looking. So nice start for Lauren here in the top of the 7th. Yeah, I certainly want to keep this a 1-run game. Bears got the top of the lineup coming up in the bottom of the 7th. Here's a pitch from Lauren. And a foul ball back this way, and almost a nice one-handed grab by a fan. The important thing is strike to Hannah Whitaker as she faces Lauren Rakes. And there's a shot to right field for a base hit. So nice solid hit for Hannah Whitaker, her first of the day. She's now 1 for 4, and Morgan Charter will step in. Morgan, a third baseman. That kind of quiet today, but reached first, and I never was able to figure out if it was a hit batter or a catcher interference. But all of a sudden, she was standing at first base and ended up scoring a run there in the 6th. The only run Anderson got after having bases loaded, no outs. So she's here with 2 outs and 1 on in the top of the 7th. Bears need to hold things together here. That pitch is low, 1-1. Well, I tell you what, great crowd today. That's so good to see. Blue sky. Can see the flags because the wind's blowing so hard. It's excellent. And there's a fly ball to right center. Oh, boy, that's a tough blow there. Home run by Morgan Charter. And all of a sudden, it's a 3-run lead for Anderson here in the top of the 7th. Oh, that's a blow. That is a blow. So Charter hits a 3-run home run. Excuse me, a 2-run home run. Here with 2 outs in the 7th to give Anderson an 8-5 lead. And we didn't need that. It took off. Wind might have helped it, but it got out of here. About the same place Maddie Carpenter's did back in the 1st. So we had a change at catcher. This is Lenoir-Rhyne, junior from Puerto Rico. It says T.L. Hanna High School, so she's around, Spartanburg or Woodruff in there somewhere, I believe is where T.L. Hanna is. And she takes strike number 1. And fouls back. Count goes to 1-2. Game 2 to follow. Typically 15 or 20 minutes after the end of game 1. We'll say 20. And then we'll be back at it. Anderson leads here 8-5. Bears have one more chance at the plate to tie or win, which we'll be hoping for. And there's a shot into the visitors' bullpen. Count 1-2 on Lenoir-Rhyne. Lauren Rakes has gone the distance. It's been a battle. And there's strike number 3. So Lauren gets 2 strikeouts in the inning, but unfortunately the big blow comes with 2 outs off the bat of Morgan Charter. And the Bears now trail going into the bottom of the 7th, 8-5. We'll be right back. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bear Sports Network, sponsored by NBA Roofing.
Being a champion takes more than skill, more than endless drills, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the heart to give it your all, the agility to thrive from any angle, and the relentless drive to be the best. Welcome to Division 2, where the pursuit is yours to create, and the question isn't, can you do it? It's, will you?
Savannah Moorfield leads off. Bears trail 8-5 here. We're in the bottom of the 7th as Lakin Maxwell will try to save this game for Anderson. I imagine she will start game 2. 11-3 with 1.59 ERA, and this is only her second inning, so I would imagine we'll see her. There's 2-0 the count now to Moorfield. Anderson's got a 3-run lead. You want to be careful with Savannah, but it's the best part of our lineup here. 1 through 5 stepping in. So Maxwell's going to have to pitch well, and all appearances are she has done that all year. Boy, that was a nice scoop out of the glove for the Anderson second baseman. That's Jessica Neto, and 1 away. Well, that was a good play. And Savannah can run. Said it early in the game and was hoping it would not come to pass, but Bears have left 13 runners on base through 6 innings. And that might have been a few too many opportunities to squander in this one against a team that can hit it. No doubt about it. 1-1 to count now. Hannah Jennings at the plate. And a sacrifice, reached on the air, walked and scored. Grounded out to first. That's been her day so far. And not too much action at third base. And there's a swing and a miss, strike 2. So 2-2 the count, 1 away here, nobody on for the Bears. Time is running thin. Lincoln Maxwell, here's the pitch, and there's strike 3. So Maxwell has come in, and after hitting Lenoir-Beth Wood to lead off the 6th, has retired 5 straight, 4 on strikeouts, and Lenoir's last hope, Cassidy Wall, steps in. Cassidy's been on base twice, both by walks. Need her on however she can get on right here. Kylie Linhart on deck. There's strike 1. And here's the pitch from Maxwell. And hits her. So we got a base runner. And that's his second hit batter for Maxwell. As Kylie Linhart will step in. With 2 outs and a runner on. And Lorena wants to step out and get a quick word with Maxwell. Probably just saying, hey, don't let that one bother you. We're 1 out away. Of course, Kylie Linhart will have something to say about that. As the flags are blowing about as hard as I've seen them blow all day. Need Kylie to get into one here. Been on base 4 times today. Couple hits, couple of walks. Has a run scored, an RBI as well. And there's strike 1. By all accounts, Maxwell can move the ball around and she can hit the edges of the strike zone. That's what I've seen so far. She doesn't look overpowering. But there's throwers and pitchers. She seems to have pretty good command of things. Counts 1-1 to Kylie. That's high, ball 2. With Julia Mardigan on deck. Bears trail by 3. Runner on. And there's a swing and a miss. That had some movement on it. Kind of dove down and away from Kylie. That's strike 2. Excuse me. Bears down potentially to the last strike. And there's a ground ball in the gap. So Kylie Lenhart with a 2-out single, and the Bears are still alive here in the bottom of the 7th. And Julia Mardigan coming to the plate. And you may be thinking, can she get one out of here? She does have 2 home runs this year, 17 RBIs. Heading into today, had an RBI back in the 4th, so she has 18. She singled and doubled, a couple flyouts, so 2 for 4 today with an RBI for Julia Mardigan, and this is a big at-bat. Bears down 3 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. And that's strike 1. A lot of these plate umpires will hesitate on a call, but this one seems to hesitate a little more maybe than others. And there's a pop to right. Looks like the second baseman might have a chance. No, it falls between the 2 players. And the Bears are going to, Kyle Lenhart's going to hold a third. And the second baseman for Anderson is down, and boy, that would be a shame. That's Jessica Neto. And she is a one heck of a ball player. Neto and Gracie Williams collided out there. It was going to be a tough ball for either one of them to catch. And, you know, again, wind could have had some effect with that. But they hit pretty hard. So it didn't look good when they hit. And Neto went to the ground and is still there, although now she is sitting up. Sure hope she's okay because, like I said, well, anybody, it doesn't matter. You hope they're okay, but she's a heck of a ball player. And she's up now and looking like she's trying to shake things off. Head coach walking out now, too. Don't know if she'll stay in the game or not. Lost in all that. The Bears close things up a little bit as Cassidy Wall scores. And Kylie Lenhart gets to third. So a single by Mardigan gets the Bears 1 run closer. With Laura Beth Wood standing in. And the Bears still alive. So Neto's going to stay in. Good to see. Glad she's not hurt too badly. As Maxwell now will face Laura Beth Wood. And swing and a miss. Good cut. Just swing through it. And that's strike 1. 8-6 your score. Bears threatening, though, with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Kylie Lenhart on third. Julia Mardigan on first. And that's a ball. One and one. Lake and Maxwell trying to close things out for Anderson, but the Bears not quite ready to go down. There's a foul ball back. Too far. Right over my head. Just passed me by about 12 feet. We're going to get one here in the box before the year is over. 1-2 the count now. Laura Beth Wood bears down her last strike again with Lake and Maxwell on the plate. And there's a swing and a miss. Strike 3, and Anderson takes game 1 of this doubleheader. 8-6. Bears rally a little bit in the bottom half of the 7th. Didn't make it easy on Anderson, but ultimately they came away with a win here in game 1 of our South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. So we'll take a short break and come back with you for game 2, probably in about 20 minutes, as Anderson wins game 1, 8-6. Anderson moves to 21-4 on the year, 4-1 in the South Atlantic Conference. Bears fall to 22-8, 7-2. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back in a bit. Thanks to Malik Ellis for keeping us on the air through the wind. And we'll talk to you in just a little bit. Welcome back, everyone. Sorry for the delay getting back up. A little bit late getting the lineups. Gave us a lineup and everybody ran on the field. So it's got to get some things sorted out. But you join us with 2 outs in the top of the first. Morgan Beeler on the mound, in the circle, facing Kason Boatner. Morgan threw out Jessica Netto at first for the first out, struck out Maddie Carpenter, and now faces Kason Boatner. Run over the scoreboard, so see if we can limit her damage today here in game 2. Bears lost game 1 8-6. So as we begin game 2, LR stands at 22-8, 7-2 in the conference. Anderson 21-4, 4-1. There's a foul tip strike. And count goes 2-2 with 2 outs here in the top of the second. It's top of the first. Wow, I'm all discombobulated. 2 outs, top of the first. And there's a shot just past the glove of Hannah Jennings into left field. Kendall Osborne makes a play, and with 2 outs, Kason Boatner is on again. And Hannah Whitaker stepping to the plate. Whitaker 1 for 4 in game 1. Scored a run on the kind of heartbreaking home run by Morgan Charter. Took a 6-5 lead for Anderson to 8-5, and although the Bears were able to come back and get a run, there's a single to left off the bat of Hannah Whitaker. And with 2 outs now, a couple singles, and Anderson has runner in scoring position with, as I was just mentioning, Morgan Charter coming to the plate. Bears trailed 6-5, as I mentioned, going in the top of the 7th, and had 2 outs, but home run off of Charter's bat made it 8-5. Bears were able to scramble around and get a run in the bottom of the 7th, but left 2 on and ended up falling 8-6. I mentioned it in the first of game 1 if you were watching that one, but if not, and are just joining us, Bears hurt themselves in game 1, left 15 runners on base in that game, losing 8-6. Here's a pitch from Beeler, and that's a strike. Charter, only 1 hit there in game 1, but it was a big one. Top of the 7th home run. There's a ground ball to shortstop, and Mardigan makes the play, and there's out number 3. So, a couple outs, a couple of hits, and then out number 3 for Morgan Beeler as she sets down Anderson here in the top of the first of game 2 of our South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. We'll be right back. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing. Bottom of the first here, game 2 of our South Atlantic Conference doubleheader. Bears coming to plate as Savannah Moorfield pops out to the catcher. One swing, one out. She is frustrated. I could tell that as she walked in the dugout. I don't know if the wind held that up or obviously helped Anderson a little bit there. So, foul ball just behind the plate. And that brings Hannah Jennings to the plate for the Bears. Hannah 0 for 3 in game 1. Did score a run after reaching on an error. And the wind picks up, and as we've had problems with all day, a couple of times infielders and or pitchers have had to kind of step away and make sure the dust isn't getting in their eyes. Lakin Maxwell in the circle for Anderson. Appears to be their ace, 11-3. Well, I guess 12-3 now. She got to win in game 2. In game 1, 1.59 ERA heading into this game. And there's a nice single to center field off the bat of Hannah Jennings. And the Bears have a base runner here in the bottom of the first. Cassidy Wall steps in. Cassidy hitless in game 1. Did walk 3 times and scored a run. Had played some good plays in right field and a couple little exciting plays because the wind's so hard right now. Hadn't really let up from the start. The flags have been active, the trees have been dancing, and we're trying to keep our papers from blowing away. And there's a short foul fly there. It's going to be caught in center. Olivia Wheeler, underneath that one for Anderson, and there's 2 away. Kylie Linhart steps in. Good game for Kylie, 3 for 3. Drove in a run, walked twice, scored a run, so she was on base 5 times in game 1 in 5 plate appearances. Takes ball 1. Maxwell closed out game 2, and she's a pretty good pitcher. She doesn't blow people away, but she moves the ball around, and she has command of the plate and command of her pitches. And I say that, she throws the ball too. Kylie Linhart at the plate. And there's a single left, so 6 plate appearances and 6 times on base for Kylie Linhart. And the Bears with 2 runners on now and 2 outs in the bottom of the first. No score, it's early. As the Bears trying to come back and get a split in this doubleheader. Joey Mardigan steps in with a couple runners on. Mardigan 3 for 5 in game 1. Had a double, a couple RBIs, so she had a good time at the plate there. Pops one up. Is that going to be playable? Yes. Left fielder comes in and makes a grab for out number 3. So the Bears has become a pattern here today. Leave a couple of runners on and don't score here in the bottom of the first. So we're tied 0-0. Here, Lenoir-Rhyne Anderson, game 2. We'll be right back. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bears Sports Network, sponsored by MBA Roofing.
I'm Rob with Center Street Eats. We're located at 2250 North Center Street in Viewmont. We offer fast dine-in and carry-out service. Usually your prepared meals at lunch from 11 to 3 are ready within 5 minutes. Center Street Eats also offers prepared meals and snacks, protein bars, smoothies, and so much more. We can accommodate most allergy restrictions and can adjust our weekly menu to comply with the most current trending diets like keto and paleo. Street Eats has helped fuel the sports programs at Lenoir-Rhyne for over 10 years now. We work with every program on campus, and we look forward to working with them again.
Lenoir-Rhyne will lead off the top of the second for the Anderson Trojans, facing Morgan Beeler. And there's a ball one. Morgan gave up a couple of 2-out hits in the first. No damage done. Had a strikeout as she gets to the middle of the lineup, and boy, that doesn't happen often. That ground ball got past Hannah Jennings. And Lenoir-Rhyne reaches. And the home scorer counts that as a single. Old school Joe Smith might have said E5, but here we go. So runner on first. Boy, what a catch by, oh my gosh, by Kylie Lennard. She almost had one in game one. Gee whiz. Boy, I tell you what, we talk about her bat a lot, but she is pretty doggone good behind the plate too. What a catch. So one away now, and Olivia Wheeler steps in. Wheeler, center fielder for the Trojans. Did not get a hit in game one, so she's looking for her first time on base today. Hopefully won't come here as she fouls off strike two. Here's pitcher Morgan. Had some movement on it just off the plate, and the count goes to, well, 2-1. Lenoir-Rhyne, Anderson's catcher, on first, and Wheeler went. Makes the count 2-2. Still beautiful. Glad the times changed there before the time changed. There towards the end of our game twos was starting to get a little chilly. And boy, that's a tough, nice play by Joey Mardigan. That ball just seemed to die off the end of the bat from Wheeler. They're able to get the lead runner. So Wheeler leads on reaches on a fielder's choice. Lenoir-Rhyne out 6-4 at second, so 2 away. And Anderson still has a runner on first as Gracie Williams comes to the plate. Williams had a couple of hits in game one, scored a run, drove in one. So she's had a nice little day so far from the 9-hole. And she takes ball 2 here from Morgan Beeler. Morgan and Lauren, 2 different pitchers, so it makes for a good battery as an opponent goes through one game with Lauren Rakes, a lot more power, a lot more of a strikeout pitcher. And then they get game 2, Morgan, not that she can't strike people out, she's already got one today, but moves the ball around, changes speeds well. It seems to just work on keeping hitters off balance. And there's strike 2. and a frustrated Gracie Williams for Anderson. 2 away here. Runner on first for Anderson. No score. We're early. Just the top of the second. And there's ball 3. If there's one thing Morgan will struggle with here and there, she has walked some people. And, of course, that can get you in a pickle quick. Let's see how she does here. Full count. Runner on first. And there's a slow roller. Morgan's going to make the play, and, boy, threw it low to Laura Beth Wood. She can't get there. It looked like she fell on her arm, and she can't. Boy, and there's a run all the way from first. Laura Beth Wood fell. Looked like she fell awkwardly on her arm. And is she going to ask for timeout? Not sure. She's nodding her head like she's okay, but she went to the ground and it looked like she'd hurt her wrist or something. And Coach Holler's going to make a change. So she's not going to take any chances. Excuse me there. And Laura Beth Wood's going to come out of the game. Looks like it might be Addison Blair at first, see if I can catch a number. And it is Addison Blair, freshman from Hickory. So we'll make that change, and hopefully Laura Beth Wood's okay. So a run scores all the way from first on a throwing error. Morgan Beeler, and Laura Beth Wood just couldn't get up. And there's out number 3. So we'll be right back here with the bottom of the second. Anderson leading 1-0. You're listening to Lenoir-Rhyne Softball on the Bear Sports Network, sponsored by NBA Roofing. Lauren Rakes leads off the bottom of the second for Lenoir-Rhyne. Anderson with a 1-0 lead here. Throwing there by Morgan Beeler, and then Laura Beth Wood went to the ground and didn't get up. Looked like she'd hurt her arm or wrist, and then when she did get up, she was rubbing her wrist, and head coach Sheena Holler didn't really waste any time making a lineup change, and Addison Blair will now be in the game for Laura Beth Wood. And there's strike one to Lauren. Lauren 1 for 3. Scored a run back in game 1. And she's facing Lakin Maxwell. And that's ball 3, ball 2. Addison Blair on deck. As I mentioned, she now in for Laura Beth Wood. And there's ball 3 to Lauren Rakes. And she steps back in to face Maxwell. And there's ball 4. So Lauren Rakes trots to first after the walk. And Addison Blair getting some playing time for the freshman from Hickory. Unfortunate circumstances, but good experience. She'll step in to face Lagan Maxwell. Squares the bunt, and it's foul back our way, but a little too far. 4 strike 1. And Yaz Lorena making sure mask is fixed. She'll squat back down, and here's the pitch to Blair. And that's a high fly to left. It's out of our view. And it's a foul. Have a couple of spots on the field we can't see. The left field corner just to the left of the foul post. And the right field corner just a little bit past first base all the way out. So if there's some delay, because we can't see those spots. Blair steps back in, 0-2 the count. And that one's outside, ball 1. A little movement on that one. Maxwell got the win in relief in game 1. And is now starting game 2. That's a high pop to right. And Gracie Williams is able to make the play. 4 out number 1. Leanna Sherrill steps in. Leanna at second base. Senior from West Iredell High School. And she steps in to face Lagan Maxwell. Boy, turned on the inside pitch, and wow, that one got through the screen and off the side of the press box and bounced back into the crowd. Hadn't seen that happen too often. I think a fan wasn't expecting it either. I wouldn't have been if I was sitting there. Would have thought a ball will never get to me. But it did. Everybody's okay. And Sherrill now with a 1-1 count facing Lakin Maxwell. There's a nice shot to left center. That's going to get to the fence. That's gone. Oh, my goodness. A long home run by Leanna Sherrill. Nice job. And the Bears take a 2-1 lead. Just not sure with the wind today, but, man, she got into that one, and the outfielder started slowing up. They knew it was gone. Nice job for Leanna Sherrill. To check and see if that's her first home run of her career. We'll look real quick. No, heck no. Is the first one since last year. It is her 9th home run of her career. Her last 2 came in a doubleheader against Mars Hill. So there you go, Leanna Sherrill. Nice job. Gives the Bears a 2-1 lead. As Maxwell faces Kendall Osborne. No 1 to count. Bears now leading 2-1. There's only 1 out. Maxwell's given up 8 home runs this year. She's kind of stepping off with the wind there. Boy, nice shot by Leanna Sherrill. She had a hit in game 1. And a long home run here in game 2. give the Bears a 2-1 lead. Kendall had 2 hits in the first game. And she takes one inside there. Count goes to 2-2. Bears trying to get a split here. 2 of the top teams in the South Atlantic Conference, in fact, coming into today. Lenoir-Rhyne was ahead leading the conference at 7-1. Carson and Anderson were both 3-1. Of course, Anderson now 4-1 with the Bears at 7-2, but Bears have a chance here to get a split. And there's a swing and a miss, strike 3. Could hear the foul tip, but the catcher held on to the ball for the second out. That gets us back to the top of the order, and Savannah Moorfield steps in. She popped out to the catcher right up near the screen backstop on the first pitch she saw, and she was noticeably not happy with herself as she head back to the dugout. So I imagine she's motivated to make amends here as she faces Maxwell for the second time. And there's strike 1. Savannah 1 for 4 in game 1. Scored a couple of runs, reached on a walk. And here's the pitch. Boy, that's inside, and that got her. Well, Savannah reaches on a hit by a pitch. That's the, is that the third? No, second. Yeah, it's the third for Maxwell. Just in 3 2/3 innings, she hit a batter each in the 6th and 7th of game 1. Now plucks Savannah Moorfield and sends her to first base with 2 outs. Hannah Jennings in. She singled in the first and was stranded. Here's the pitch to Jennings, and not sure if she got a piece of that or not. The wind is really whipping up. It's a little bit dusty. And from where I'm sitting, it looks like it would be right in Lake and Maxwell's face. And how the flags are flying would probably confirm that. So Jennings steps back in, 1-1 to count, 2 outs here. Savannah Moorfield on first. And there's ball 2. Bears lead. We're early on in game 2 of our doubleheader. As the pitch comes from Maxwell. And that's high, ball 3. Be nice to get a little bit going. Help out Morgan Beeler, and of course Leanna Sherrill did her part with a long 2-run shot to left center earlier this inning. Savannah reaches out and can't quite get that one. Count goes to 3-2. Jennings was on the move, so she will, Moorfield is on the move as Jennings steps back in. 3-2 the count. Here's the pitch. And a little pop to the left. Oh, and it's off the shortstop's glove, and it's fair. Wow. She just overran it. And it came back on her. I don't know if that wind had an effect on that or not, but regardless, Jennings now stands at first with Savannah Moorfield on second. And Cassidy Wall coming to the plate. It'll be a tough error on the shortstop. And they're giving Jennings a hit. Here's a pitch to Wall. And there's a little bloop right out of the reach of the third baseman up against the screen for the dugout. And the count 0-1 to Cassidy Wall. Wall 0 for 2 in game 1, but she did walk 3 times and score a run, so she's been on base. Could use her bat here. And Savannah Moorfield stands on second. And that's inside, ball 1. A little bit dusty again out there, and the wind is not letting up at all. Wall to face Maxwell here, and that's strike.